I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. It's practically midnight. The wife and kids are gone for the weekend and I don't have to work tomorrow, and I guess I could go to bed or watch a movie, but instead, for some strange reason, I decided to shoot this video. What is up, you guys? My name is Elias and I love movies. Today I want to share with you guys some of the strangest, most bizarre movies that I have ever seen. Not only are they strange and bizarre, but I also, in my personal opinion, believe that they are absolutely brilliant. They're not necessarily disturbing films because, let's face it, those films deserve their own category, but they are strange and extremely different in their own special way. Nonetheless, I love them. I think they are brilliant, amazing films, and just in case you guys haven't seen them, I thought I would share them with you guys. 1, 2, 3.
Guerra Movie House!
Okay, it's late, I've been drinking, and I'm gonna try really hard to get through this video as quickly as possible. The first movie that I want to talk about is Dogtooth. I saw this movie like 3 years ago, and it immediately blew my mind. In this movie, you have parents that have raised their kids and have pretty much isolated them from everything and have also made them believe anything that they wanted them to believe. Because they're being raised by their parents and have never left the home, they don't know anything except for what their parents are teaching them. The reason the movie is called Dogtooth is because their parents have them believe that they are not allowed to leave their home, or they're not ready to leave their home till they lose their dog tooth, which we all know that will never happen. These three kids are taught these strangest things, but of course, it's not strange to them, it's strange to us because we know what reality is. Throughout the whole entire movie, there are strange things happening and you can't help but watch the movie going, why? Why is this happening? Nothing makes sense. But the movie is written and shot so beautifully that you can't help but fall in love with its bizarreness. This movie is open to all sorts of different interpretations, but for me personally, I think it touches on the subject of parenting. My kids are 7, 5, and 3, and at this point, I can practically have them believe anything that I want them to believe. And that can actually be a scary thought, and that's pretty much what goes on in this movie. If you guys haven't seen it, definitely check it out, especially if you're into strange but thoughtful films. The next film that I want to talk about is one of my personal all-time favorite films, and that film is Synecdoche, New York. In my opinion, not only is it one of the most amazing, most brilliant, most thoughtful films, but it's also one of the most depressing. This film is written and directed by Charlie Kaufman, and his most popular work would probably be Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which are also strange but amazing films. Not only do I think this is his best work, but this is actually my favorite Philip Seymour Hoffman film. Not only is his character a theater writer, but he's going through a midlife crisis. He gets the opportunity to write his own screenplay, and because he is obsessed with the negativity of his own life, he decides to write a screenplay about his own life and try to figure out where everything went wrong. Things start to get a little strange whenever he is writing the screenplay about his life, and within that screenplay, the characters playing him and his wife start to write the screenplay about his life, and then it happens within that screenplay, and then it happens within that screenplay. And I think the reason for that is because he is trying to rewind time to figure out where everything went wrong and to also figure out what everything means. He becomes extremely obsessed with his own life that he doesn't realize that life is happening in front of him. You see Philip Seymour Hoffman's character lose touch with reality and fantasy because he's so focused in his play within a play within a play that he no longer knows what it is that he's looking for. This film has by far some of the best writing. It's perfectly directed. Philip Seymour Hoffman, like I said, this is my personal favorite film of his. I think he is perfect. It is definitely a film that has personally affected me and has made me look at life differently, and I can only hope it does that for you. The next movie that I want to talk about is a very fun one. I want to talk about Holy Motors. The reason Holy Motors is strange is because it doesn't really make any sense. The things that are going on don't make sense or don't really connect perfectly. The beginning of the movie, you see a man leaving an extremely large home in a very nice suit getting inside a limo. And for the rest of the film, you see him riding this limo for a whole entire day. The reason he spends a whole entire day in a limo is because that's actually his office or his dressing room. Inside the limo, he has props and makeup and costumes to become any character that one could possibly think of. We don't really find out who his employer is, but we do know that he gets assignments to be certain characters. And throughout his day, he becomes those characters and he also plays those roles. This whole entire movie is sort of like a lot of short films that portray different genres, but they're all connected in one way or another. Like most strange films, this movie is also open to interpretation, but in my opinion, I think it's sort of like an homage to different genres of film or for the love of film. I think it also touches on the subject of art and what we might consider art and also what we might consider beauty. Throughout the movie, you never know what's going to happen next because it's constantly moving to the next project that he has. Not only is it beautifully written, but it is beautifully shot because every genre or every sequence that he goes through, it's shot just like the way that certain genre would be shot with that certain style. If you're open-minded and you understand film and you have a love and passion for films, this is something that you might enjoy. I do believe it's on Netflix, so if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. Next film that I want to talk about is the 1995 Larry Clark's extremely controversial film, Kids. The reason Kids has always been a very controversial film is because of the subject matter. There's a lot of sex, violence, and a lot of drugs throughout the whole entire film. The intro to the movie is actually two very young teenagers having sex, and then throughout the movie you see that several times. Not only do you see that several times, but you also hear all of these kids talking explicitly about sex. One of the things that made this film feel more realistic is the way that Larry Clark decided to shoot it. Like 99% of these kids had never made a movie before. There's a lot of improv, and the whole entire film is shot in a Steadicam, so it sort of has that documentary feel to it. The way all of the characters are very casual and laid back, and the way the dialogue just sort of carries on makes it feel extremely realistic. Not only does this movie strongly involve drugs, sex, and violence, but it also sort of uncomfortably brings up the topic of AIDS. I know this movie is controversial and a lot of people don't like it, but I thought it was very well put together. And even though I don't believe that all this craziness could possibly happen within 24 hours in one group of friends, but I do believe that these things have happened or could possibly be happening within kids around the world. It's definitely an experience and something I believe everyone should check out. The last but definitely not least movie that I want to talk about might be the most popular movie on this list. I want to quickly talk about Requiem for a Dream. As soon as the movie starts and throughout the whole entire film, you know for a fact that Jared Leto and the people that he surrounds himself with have a very strong drug addiction. But even though he, his friend, and his girlfriend have a strong drug addiction, you also get the sense that his heart is or could be in the right place. It's very obvious that this film isn't just about addiction, but could also be about having big dreams and goals and how difficult it can be to achieve those dreams and goals whenever you have a horrible or strong addiction. One of the things that I think is very creative and interesting about this film is that you don't just see these drug addicts being addicted to certain drugs. You also see Jared Leto's mom not having a drug addiction, but instead being addicted to an idea, to a goal in her life. I know a lot of people say that this movie is about drug addiction, and of course I absolutely understand that because most of the movie is based around drugs, but I believe it's strictly based on just addiction. I just think that Drugs are used a lot in this movie because whenever a person thinks about addiction, they can't help but think about drugs. This movie is very disturbing and hard to watch, but at the same time, it is one of the most beautiful, well shot movies that I have ever seen. You can just tell that every single sequence, every scene was perfectly thought out. From the lighting to the score to what the camera was going to do or what lens the director was going to use. Darren Aronofsky is definitely one of those directors that has a certain style, and in this movie you see all of it. Throughout the whole entire movie you're thinking, what the hell is happening? Why is this happening? And why am I enjoying it so much? And even though it's a little disturbing and awkward, it's also one of the most depressing movies ever. You just never know where the movie is going, but you do know that it's just gonna get worse for each character. Requiem for a Dream is definitely a movie that might be hard to watch twice, but it will forever be unforgettable, and you might just be able to acknowledge how brilliant the movie actually is. But that's pretty much it, you guys. If you guys have seen any of these movies, make sure you leave your comments down below and let me know what you think. I would love to make another video just like this one, so if you guys have any other suggestions of strange, bizarre, yet brilliant films, make sure you leave them in the comments down below and I will do my very best to watch them. And as always, make sure you give this video a like if you like, subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you for watching Guerra Movie House. Like, comment, and subscribe for my videos. Peace out, homies.